Edgar Allan Poe. You know the name, right? The master of the macabre, the guy who basically invented the detective story. But here's the thing. The final chapter of his own life is a total mystery, and it's maybe weirder than any story he ever wrote. So, get this. October 3rd, 1849. Poe is found on the streets of Baltimore, completely delirious. He's wearing someone else's cheap, ill-fitting clothes. For 4 days, he's in and out of consciousness, shouting the name Reynolds over and over, and then he dies. The days right before he was found? A total blank. Nobody has a clue where he was or what happened to him. But what if there's an answer? Not in some old history book, but in a strange manuscript supposedly written by Poe himself, from a place beyond life and death. Today, we're going to dive into the wild reality proposed in these fictional texts. It's a journey straight into the mind of Poe, and maybe, just maybe, into the nature of consciousness itself. All right, so the first part of this whole manuscript puts forth this really radical idea about creativity. It basically says that Edgar Allan Poe wasn't an inventor of stories at all. Nope. He was more like a channel, a scribe for tales that were already out there. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. In the manuscript, Poe meets this mysterious bookseller. The bookseller hands him a diary written by Ligeia, one of Poe's own characters, back in the 1770s. And he drops this bombshell idea on him, that his most famous characters weren't things he just made up. They were memories reaching out to him from across time. The manuscript has a name for this: Remembering Forward. The idea is that Poe's mind was just so sensitive that it could pick up on these echoes of his own future. So his stories, they weren't fiction. They were like dispatches from a reality he hadn't even lived yet. He wasn't just writing tales, he was unknowingly drawing a map to his own bizarre destiny. And to really drive this home, Ligeia's diary is spookily specific. I mean, written decades before he was even born, it talks about a man named Edgar who will be a wound, an opening through which truth may pour. It predicts his suffering, his obsession with dying women, all of it. According to this, Poe wasn't even the author of his own life. He was just a character in a much bigger story. So this isn't just a philosophical idea. The diary gives Poe an actual address. Number 17 on the Street of Effaced Names. And the house he finds there, well, it's not a physical place. It's more like a landscape of the mind. Yeah, this is no ordinary haunted house. Poe steps inside and finds a hallway of mirrors, but each one shows a slightly different version of him. There's a library filled with books from the future, novels that haven't even been written yet. The study he's in is somehow every study he could have ever had, all at once. And when he looks up, the sky has 3 moons. It's a place where reality is totally up for grabs. And he's not alone in there. He's being hunted by himself, or a version of himself that made all the safe choices. This is the Poe who became a clerk, had a family, and lived a normal, respectable, completely forgotten life. This other Poe represents everything he ran from, and it wants to merge with him, to just erase the haunted artist for good. Now here's the kicker. The manuscript claims this whole surreal, terrifying journey is the explanation for Poe's real-life missing days. He wasn't just on a bender in Baltimore. He was lost in this house of consciousness, trapped in that gap between the end of his life and whatever was supposed to come next. So that brings us to what happens next. After the fever dream in the house, after his physical body gives out in that hospital bed, the journey keeps going. See, in this version of things, death isn't the end. It's just a transition. The manuscript calls this place the interval. You can kind of think of it like a waiting room for the soul, a place outside of time where your consciousness hangs out after your body is gone. It's not heaven, it's not hell, it's just a space where the pattern of who you are, all your thoughts and memories, holds together before moving on. And what's amazing is, he finds people there, a whole society of echoes, made up of other souls who figured out how to stay aware after death. He meets other mystics, but more importantly, he's reunited with the people he lost, his mother, Elizabeth, and his beloved wife, Virginia. It's a place of reunion, not emptiness. The number 1 rule in this place is simple. The body is just a car you drive for a while. The real you, your consciousness, is just a pattern. And like energy, you can't destroy a pattern. You can only change its form.
So Edgar Allan Poe, the man, might be gone, but the pattern that was him, it's still going. Okay, so if you thought it was weird before, this is where it goes completely off the rails. In the interval, Poe finally learns the ultimate truth about his life's work and discovers the literal and frankly terrifying power of a good story. The manuscript basically says that when a story is imagined with enough passion and when enough people read it and believe in it, the characters actually break free. They become real, autonomous beings that live in our collective unconscious.
They're called sot forms. So suddenly, in this realm, Poe is face-to-face with a living, breathing Ligeia and Roderick Usher. They're not just ideas on a page anymore. They have their own consciousness, their own existence, and they're powered by every reader who's ever gotten lost in their tales. And let's just say they have a few things they want to discuss with their creators.
This is the ultimate trap for Poe. His own success becomes his cage. The more famous his stories get, the stronger these thought forms become. And they threaten to completely swallow up the original consciousness of Edgar Poe himself. His own legacy could literally erase him, turning him into just another character in the story of Poe.
So he's given 3 ways out of this mess. Choice 1, reincarnate. Just start over in a new life with a clean slate, no memories. Choice 2, persist. Stick around in the interval as a kind of muse, whispering ideas to living artists. Or choice 3, transcend. Dissolve his identity completely and join these cosmic beings called architects, who literally narrate reality into existence. So what does the master storyteller choose? He rejects all 3. He decides not to escape his nature, but to double down on it. He chooses to stay in the interval and keep doing the one thing he does best, tell stories. Only now, his audience is the community of other spirits, the Society of Echoes. He finally completes his transformation. He's no longer a man who writes stories. He is the story. A living narrative, a consciousness that only continues to exist because we perceive it, because we read him, because we remember him. He becomes his own masterpiece. When you pull back, the manuscript is suggesting something huge. It's saying that reality isn't just a bunch of atoms and physics. It's a grand narrative. The universe, our lives, who we think we are, it's all just a story that consciousness is telling to itself moment by moment. And that leaves us with one last, kind of spooky thought. If this manuscript has a point, if our identity is really just a narrative and reality is a text we're all living in, it makes you ask a pretty big question about your own life, doesn't it? If your consciousness is a story, who or what is holding the pen?